Hi, welcome to another edition of Fly Tying with the Montana Angling Company. Me again. Today we're going to be learning to tie a Hackle Stacker style dry fly. Yeah, so really great bugs. They work really well as emerging mayflies, cripple mayflies. Fish them a lot on tailwaters for selective fish, and yeah, awesome fly. I'm not going to get into who invented the style, but there's, sort of controversy around that, but, Bob Quigley definitely contributed a lot to their development. So I'm going to just tie in the thread there, give it a little pop. And usually with this style of fly, I almost always tie in like a X-Caddis style tail, that trailing nymphal shuck, sort of that cripple emerging mayfly look to it. And this is going to be sort of themed after an Adams. But we'll tie that tail in and then just wrap that all forward, tying it off. And this one will be a little different in that I will have a sparkle wing sort of post on it. So we'll tie in the tail and then we'll, or a sparkle flag style post. And then we'll tie in that next, give that a little trim. And it'll be sort of like the opposite of a tail. It'll be coming off the front there, that at the very end we'll bring it back around and up. So more on that later, but you can tie it up almost right to the eye since we'll be pulling it back, and it'll be sort of our new tie-in point. Give it a little snip there, and this fly, right, is more of a, once again, like a style of tying than a particular pattern. But it is a really great bug that fishes really well. And so now we'll use just some Blue Dun Superfine dry fly dubbing, sort of make this as quick and painless as possible. And I'm not too concerned about the body of this fly. Really, what this video is for is sort of what's to come, which is our hackle stacking, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's, it gives those flies a really unique profile that can't get from any other sort of style, whether it's a parachute or whatever. And so I'll just make a nice little tapered dry fly body. Yeah, and then so now we'll start stacking our hackle. So we'll work our thread up a little, and to do this we basically make 3 big loops. And you can't see it, but my finger is up above the fly holding this thread up, and I'm just wrapping it around, pulling it down, trying to come over that same spot, making these just big lazy loops that we can then tie off by working the thread back over and just sort of laying down back there. So you can see that's, sort of the base of it, and it kind of acts as you'll see, our parachute post almost. Then we'll take our feather, and this is a special one, whiting Cree. Hard to find. Thanks to the Bozeman Family Fly Shop, I was able to track down a couple feathers, and I'll use one here today for the occasion. Yeah, we'll tie that off. And then we'll put some more dubbing on our thread. And a lot of times with these patterns I'll use like a contrasting dubbing, a second kind of darker dubbing at the front of the body, just to give it that sort of extra bit of bugginess. But this pattern I'm trying to keep pretty simple, sort of in that Adams style. I guess this dubbing's probably a little lighter than your sort of standard Adams, but close enough. Yeah, and then I'll just wrap this dubbing up or back, leaving a little space there at the front to tie all this off, but not too worried since we have that flag. And then I'll kind of just wrap the thread around my finger, and this sort of requires a little bit of dexterity, but we're going to actually just take our hackle now and wrap it around our thread, and we kind of want to measure the distance there, and don't want to wrap our hackle kind of past it, and we'll just sort of wrap it pretty tight and kind of make our way up. Oop, dropped it. The thread just sort of passing it around again and again and again until we get the sort of barb density we want. And this Cree feather obviously makes this really easy, because it means we don't have to have multiple feathers, which is good for me, but it's a hard kind of hackle to find. Oop, got caught in our sparkle flag, which happens. So that's about the length we want right there. We can always test it. So then we just start bringing that feather right back down, sort of through itself, and it just gives us that really great hackle density. The flag is really getting in the way today. Yeah, we've got that, and so at this point we can just kind of tie off our hackle, and you can tie it off at the base. I'm just kind of trying to do this quick, so I'm just going to pull it up in the front, push it back, tie off all those fibers right at that flag. Sort of that classic parachute style, and all that's going to be covered up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And so now we're going to make the hackle stacker top. So we've got our hackle, we've got it stacked. Now we just kind of brush it back and pull it forward, and we get this nice big plume of hackle on top that we just then tie off. And we sort of want to just push it back as much as we can. And there we are. We've got our hackle stacked. And so at this point, we can cut off our thread. And now we'll add our little sparkle, or I keep calling it a sparkle wing, but a flag at the sparkle flag at the front, just to give it that high vis post. Couple wraps, pull it tight, and hit it with thread with a little super glue. And you can see actually this style of fly tying is really easy and it's really fast. It's probably easier than a sort of normal parachute and definitely quicker. And I'll just tie it off with a little whip finish. And there we go, and it just gives it a lower riding profile than a lot of other kind of style of hackle dry flies. And I like cutting these wings just above the edge of the hackle there. And we'll trim our tail to about the same length as the body. And there we are, Hackle Stacker mayfly, and that sort of Adams color scheme. There you go. Thanks for watching.